Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of D4 Data Channel podcast. And with me, we have Mr. Jeremy from NaaS. And today we are going to discuss a lot about Notebook as a Service. So, first of all, I would like to welcome Jeremy to this particular podcast show.
Hi, hello Deepak. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Everything's good, thanks.
Great. So, Mr. Jeremy, I don't think I need to introduce you to our open source community here because NaaS is pretty famous nowadays, and it's been like a big win for everyone because we all can actually democratize, or like it's a way to democratize the entire data science solution. So I'm hoping to actually ask you a lot of questions, and we'll be actually discussing a lot in terms of NaaS today.
That's cool. I'm happy to do it with you.
Great. So first of all, we'll start with the notebook as service. So why notebook as a service?
So basically, Notebook as a Service, something that really came a bit straight from the way we were using Jupyter notebooks. So just to come back to a bit of a story about why we went to build NaaS, is because we are coming from the business side with my team. Me, my brother, and my other associates are coming from this side of the things where you want to use data in the comfort of an ecosystem you understand, and you want to deploy scripts and insights in different other places. And when we started, we used Excel and VBA to do that. Right? We were analysts in two different departments. I was in finance, delivering data to business decision makers. And you start always by crunching some data in Excel, figuring out how to automate your workflows, eventually figuring out how to consolidate the data in the nice data model so you can reuse the thing. And so we came to the conclusion that Excel and VBA were not enough. We were spending too much time doing production, not so much doing analysis. And at that time, it was 2016 when I started touching data with code. We understood how powerful Python and the Jupyter notebooks were. Because at the end of the day, a Jupyter notebook is a really cool document for us analysts, because you can document with text, with markdown, what you see, what you do, and you can also have the execution in the code cell, and you can have the graph. So it's making all the logic on the same document, and you cannot have this kind of logic when you actually use other stuff like spreadsheets or even no-code tools. We're going to talk about it, I think, later. But even tools that are limited by the interface, you don't have this flexibility of building your own analysis and your own way of the data, how the data can flow. So we were using Jupyter notebooks. We're using it on our computers, and we were having difficulties in the aspect of, how can I schedule my notebook, stay in the comfort of my notebook without having to deploy a server or some kind of complex infrastructure? How can I stay in the comfort of my notebook to distribute insights? And we realized that to do it, you need to add microservices to NaaS services. And you need to ask those services to do the job for you and to run your notebooks in when you want to. Like, for example, we have a feature called the scheduler. So with one line of code, you can schedule your notebook. You can also trigger actions from other tools to your notebook, which is a webhook. You can send a notification through email at the end of your notebook, like, hey, this is the result of my analysis. You can share assets. You can create graph and create one line sharing of your graph, like a Google sharing URL. So all of those were services, right? There are services around the notebook that we have added to the original Jupyter notebook instance, and we deployed that in a cloud-based infrastructure, so that you can access those services even if your computer is not working. Like you can still have it on your local machine, but when you want to deploy it 24/7, make sure the scheduling is ready. You want something else than your computer to run, because otherwise, if it stops, then you cannot use it. So this is how we came to the idea of, we are using notebooks as a service. So this is like how NaaS came out, like notebook as a service. And it's pretty interesting because today there is a lot of solutions that are in this vibe of notebook as a service. Like Google Collaboratory can do this. Like it's a notebook as a service in a way. But we add much more services than just hosting it in the cloud. As I told, we have the scheduler, all those microservices that are really useful for anyone that has no knowledge of or not have the technical background of deploying a server, putting a cron job, setting up an infrastructure in data platform like AWS or Google Cloud, etc. It's really like a notebook instance with microservices for easy deployment and delivery of data insights. So this is NaaS in a nutshell.
That's great. That's great. It's so explanatory actually, and how you derived as actually this notebook as a service. That's really cool. And on the second question, like so nowadays, or not nowadays, like often in production we use Python scripts. Like whenever we are actually working in Python, so
Mm.
mainly it will be .py file. And what are the biggest advantage which you actually saw when we say like, okay, we can use notebooks in production for AI solution
We
especially?
we actually we actually figured this out not by ourselves. When we were in this, we were in this notebook trying to like deploy this script. We figured out like Netflix was doing this notebook in production system to get all the data points, different metrics of their ecosystem infrastructure of devices they follow. And so first of all, notebooks are good for iteration purposes. Like you can really iterate very well inside your notebook environment. You can really see quite fast what's working, what's not working. And when you're in a position where you want to deliver this thing to your end user, you want to iterate very fast. Meaning, if you go into the complex software engineering processes, you may be bottleneck at some time, because the speed of iteration that the business requires doesn't fit the speed of the software engineering that needs quality workflows, tests all the way, packaging, etc. So you need to see it as two phase, basically. I don't see the traditional way of making software engineering and applying it to AI and data pipelines wrong at all. I feel that's the right way of building strong products. But when you're coming into the enterprise and you want to iterate very fast and you want to just make sure this thing is sticking in the hands of your end users, notebooks are perfect for that. And because they can really allow you to iterate faster. You don't need to go into the CI, CD, QA, and all that that road, which is going to happen somehow someday, or maybe not. Maybe the process will be running in the notebook and will be fine for 80% of the use cases, and 20% of it you will be like, oh, I need proper API, proper deployment, proper thing like this, proper software engineering, because this is mission critical for my enterprise. But all the rest is mostly like exploration and checking out what new things we can do. So the advantage of using notebooks for AI related solution is to be able to democratize the access to AI insights, like a simple linear regression, some classification, some NLP sometimes, like that will be fine, and that will enable you users, your audience, to discover AI powered solution faster than if they would wait for all this software engineering workflow. You can really implement AI in stuff that makes sense to them. So it's really about it's about having those two workflows of speed of iteration for the business really served well and fast, um, And it's also about like democratizing access to a lot of insight that are now really confined in the hands of data scientists, data teams, basically. Data teams are a good way of building your data driven company, but most of the people that are making decisions, they are not in the data team, and those guys are at the end of the day the people you want to serve, because this is what you need to do, right? Data is it's a support function. It's here to provide the best insights for decision makers. So I guess this is in this area that we thought of notebooks as a complementary, like an additional way of delivering fast to the business to then come back with insights and deliver it to the IT or the data operation team that would at one point want to package it in a certain way in the ecosystem that they are building.
Understood. Understood. Got it. So, my third question. So, how low-code platforms are becoming increasingly important in the modern data problems?
I mean, good question, and we need maybe to zoom out on just low code platform to check out all the ecosystem of today, how it is done. So right now, at this moment when we talk, there is only still 1% of people who know how to program in the world. Less than that. 99% plus are known developers, known coders, people that have no idea of what's going on in the background when they are touching this button or when they are clicking on that page. They have no clue. So the problem is they have no clue on how it's done, but they need to take much more decision. The amount of decision people need to take with the amount is related to the exponential amount of data. They are like overwhelmed with so much stuff. So they cannot really wait for this 1% of the population to help them out. They need to go and check for themselves how they can do stuff. This is how most of the no code solution have risen up. Like, Power BI could be considered no code. Tableau is no code. Some of those, very now used solution aren't based on code. But what they do is they confine the users into some specific task and display and ways of presenting the data. So you're always limited by the design that the software provider has done for you when you start using those technologies. Always, you will be limited by what they decided you to click on in terms of buttons and etc. On the other side, we have code, which is pure freedom, where people can like navigate their way in a very, very free fashion. So low code is here in the middle. It's like freedom from the code with focus from the like no code platform. There's really this thing about code, low code and no code in my way of seeing the whole ecosystem. So once you get there, you understand that, oh, I have this no code solution that confine me in the certain usage. I have the code which gives me so much power that is overwhelming. I don't know where to start. So much libraries in ML, so much like stuff popping all the time. You're like, oh, what should I do? And then there is low code platform, low code solution coming up. And I really love another low code platform, low code way of doing data science, which is PyCaret team that is making a phenomenal job at simplifying approach to like a machine learning algorithm with low code. So it's really in this vibe of like, hey guys, it's overwhelming all we have as code. So let's package it as something more simple with this idea of using formulas, very simple formulas, like if we were in an Excel spreadsheet, because we can remember the formula. We can say, oh, I have this PyCaret formula. NaaS is built on the same principle. The NaaS formula is very easy. It's NaaS.scheduler.add, and you have into parentheses, your cron task. That's it. You can remember the formula much simply than when you do code. You cannot remember a chunk of code, like a snippet of code. You will not remember it by heart. You'll be like checking out somewhere and figuring out how to bundle it. Low code is having this design in mind from the no code tools. We do have the design in mind, but we try to plug it to the usage that is not limited in terms of user interface. You can use the formula, you can package it into your old script. So you have your script with code, and somehow in some places you have some low code formulas here to help you out because they will speed up the development time. So I think they are increasingly important because they bundle the whole ecosystem. It's not only code and no code. It's like a middle ground where you can actually figure out faster how to build stuff for your end users. And I think they are increasingly important because of what we said initially. There is too much people trying to figure out too much stuff with too much data, and they still don't know where to go and how to start and what to do. So there is this gigantic amount of people wanting to access to data, not so much people having the ability to deliver it to so much people. So low code is here to really like democratize and simplify a bit the approach, which means developers can really focus on the deep tech and how the deep principle that will make the technology better, and let other people, other users freely discover, develop, and create what they want to do faster than if it was done in pure code.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, so my next question is on. So right now there is a great push towards the explainability factor in all of the AI solution. So it's of great demand actually nowadays. So
Yes.
when it comes to like capsuling or maybe even blackboxing the entire workflow in the low code platforms basically. So will it gonna impact the explainability factor? So what do you think on this particular aspect?
I believe in notebooks so much because they still ensure the explainability. You can really write down all your logic, and you can build your blocks of explainability. You have no black box. You have a document you can read as if it was a book. You can read the book and you understand what's going on. And at the end of the book, you need to understand the story, how it has been built, what are the people involved, what has changed, and what is the conclusion of your book and what you do. So it's really a documenting logic here, I believe. Things need to be documented better. I would just make a point on this. So many notebooks are really hard to get understood by other people than the creator itself. It's a real pain. When you look at a notebook, you don't have any framework, you don't understand how it's done. So explainability starts with having some kind of a really clear document you can give to someone else. Commenting your code is good, but writing the markdown, the logic, explaining how the thought process, how you thought about these different parts, is the first part for me. That okay, you can have the explainability at the end of the day with the machine learning model, but please just start with just documenting well your notebook, I should be able to read it even if I'm not a technical person. I should be able to understand the logic, or the way you went for that insight to be provided. And after that, all the ML algorithm that can be plugged and give explainability, etc., they are much more technical. At the end of the day, I will not. It's much more for people who know the code, who know the logic, who know the model behind it, that can just. It's a way of testing out the quality of what is the output. But if we come back to this position of the end users, the guy that will read your insights, they should be able to read your notebook and understand the flow. And this brings a lot of explainability at first. Then comes the whole like unpacking the libraries. What are these libraries doing? Is this really efficient? You will anyway have to do the job, so it's compulsory for me. There is no question on explainability. You should do it if you want your people to like consume your insight and trust your insight. But there is a first phase, making a nice document explaining everything, and then only comes the technical part of checking the model accuracy, using some explainable AI algorithm to check whether the quality of the model doesn't go down over time, because this is the most problem in machine learning when they are implemented, is that it's not true that they will perform better over time. It's more likely that they will decrease over time. So yeah, you need to figure some ways of having your whole data story written in your notebook, but still using the ML algorithm that needs to be there to validate the quality. At the end of the day, what a real like business leader want to do is, from what I understood, is like, give me my number. This is you have made 100 million of sales, but how accurate is that? Like, is this 100 million revenue sure at 88%, 92%? Because I understand that there might be some problem in the numbers. Something are considered booked, but maybe some part of them are not signed. So how can I know if something is not signed? I could go in my like customer relations system and check out if all the fields are required, and if some fields are not filled, then I might have an error. So AI can scan all those different, records and be like, hey, there is a spot here where those deals are not having the same properties than the other deals, so they might be wrong. So the accuracy of your number might be not 100%, but 92% or 98%. This is an example, but AI can serve you on this front. They can help you out on figuring out the accuracy of the numbers and the data you provide to other people.
Got it. That's actually a very valid point which you made.
Mm.
And my next question, so when it comes to an end-to-end pipeline or the process deployment of an AI solution, so which all portion can actually NaaS can support, or like how it's like using the entire pipeline of NaaS to kind of construct the process deployment of an AI solution?
There might be different ways, but we are not. So in the space, in the modern data stack, you have different tools that are best of breed on different aspects, and this is totally fine. And NaaS is not competing against any of those guys. Very very accurate solution are built every day on very specific part of the way an AI engine needs to be built. The thing is, everything going from the data collection to the data warehouse is somehow already well covered. The modern data stack does it very well. Like, you have everything until the usage. For me, the real pain point is usage of the AI solution, like usage of the insights and how they are provided to other people that are not into the space of AI, that just want the insight inside their report. So I believe that NaaS can bring that position in the data usage space, not into the data storage, not into the data transformation, ingestion, or whatever. This is already taken care of. The space is well positioned here, but what we miss is somehow a spot where we talk about the metrics, the metric layer, the place where you get the metrics down, the place where you plug all your like data, and you want to have some metrics to understand the health of your organization. or of your project. At that point, NaaS can be very efficient because with our templates and low code formulas, we can really like pre-package the distribution of the indicator you want to send as a report to decision maker. So we talk about this thing about the CRM system, like the sales prediction, sales forecast. You need to go into your customer relation management system. You need to understand what are the deals. You need to take certain deals. You need to get the close date and maybe make a prediction, a simple regression with where this whole thing is going. Very simple thing. This is nice to use on NaaS because it can really like easily help you out if you need to change the algorithm to another stuff. If you want to use ARIMA, not linear regression, you want to be able to quickly change it and iterate. But everything which is about like AI related to image recognition or, you know, all this more complex aspect of it needs to be done much more in the back end, like in the background of the whole workflow. So I would say that NaaS is a good way to monitor the data delivery part more than the whole engineering that you need to do before, or the refining of the data needs to be taken care of by some other processes. If you are a big enough organization where DevOps, data engineering, cloud engineering are here to like package your whole data management system, like your whole data storage and transformation. But you need at one point to have some like refined data ready to use. And this is where a bit more AI and some algorithm really well positioned in your workflow can increase the quality of the decision taken at the end of the day, because they will understand, oh, accuracy is this much percentage. Okay, I can take my decision based on this. This is where we want to help. The metric kind of space. But, you know, to do AI, you need to, AI is just the tipping, like it's just a small bit of the whole ecosystem. I really think that people in the data space, data professional, think too much about AI first, whereas they should think about data first and quality of this data that we have in the input first. So it's really my pledge to this ecosystem to be like, hey guys, AI is not the end goal. Decision making is the end goal. Any kind of data you use, any kind of pipeline you build has no use if no decision is taken at the end of the day. You really need to think about how can I be useful in the way I build this thing. And yeah, I guess that deployment of AI solution shouldn't or doesn't have to be the primary goal of any project. You know, some decision makers would want you to like give me some AI, put me some AI into this so I can say to my manager that I have implemented AI, and then but is that bringing you to the good decision making? Like, no, think about it as an upgrade, like an unlocking of this uncertainty you don't know, but AI can bring you closer to like understanding the essence. First, understand the uncertainty. Where is it? How it is like materialized? And then what you do if you don't have this amount of data, then you can like create like some other technique, ways to navigate the whole data available to you, so you understand what to do next. This is about what to do next. What is red? What is orange? What is green? You know, what is good? Okay, what is an error that I need to monitor, or what is like I should look into it. Very simple decisions are not yet provided by AI solution, like AI assisted decision making is something that we really look forward to like develop more into NaaS. We believe this particular area is yet to be strengthened because we do have all the engineering. We know how to build the microwave. We don't know how to serve the dish to the people that is just like sitting here on the table.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is how and I'm not even the one saying it, like this Cassie Kozikov from Google, she's always like pushing this idea as well. Like we have so many engineers, so many people who know how to build the microwave, but so little people who actually knows how to serve the dish nicely to the people that sit at the table.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So this is the whole game that we are in actually.
Right. Yeah. So over to the next point, and on the little more, we are actually deep diving into notebook as a service. So, like as you mentioned in a couple of other questions, like so there are a lot of workflows or a lot of packages in NAS which actually enables this kind of the entire workflow basically, or even contributing to very specific kind of objectives. So when it comes to data integration, like I've seen like a lot of pluggability options are there in NAS. So what so basically on that front, what was the primary research which has been done, and like what was the motive behind capturing all of these pluggabilities inside NAS basically?
Yeah, so good question. So what we want to do is address the deliverability of the data first. So what the integration we wanted to do is with tools that people are already using, and not necessarily like data science people using it. So we started with an integration with Google Sheet, very simple integration. You just share a link to your Google Sheet and you can access your data directly from, because it was painful for us to do, right? So we built a microservice for that, accessing Google Sheet in like one line. Then we worked with Slack to like send data easily, also with low code formula. So and then Notion is like the most demanded. So all the research that we have done since we have launched NaaS last year, every every time we have more than 10 people asking us for an integration, we actually build it and or help our contributors build it with us. And it's most likely with the tools that people spend the most time in, like I said, like Notion, like Trello, like Google Sheet, like Slack, like HubSpot for sales, like all those tools. And these tools are not so much approached by the modern stack software, which are much more into how can I connect it to Snowflake or to like this database, or it's much more technical integration related. We are trying to figure out how to address the business side of integrations that is not so much covered in low code. So yeah, this is the whole idea.
Okay, got it. So on the
Mm.
workflow configuration, I think you already mentioned in the last problem, and I'm actually passing that question. And the next point is on the task management. So,
Mm.
like, what features or facilities are available in NAS for the tracking and monitoring system of the entire, or even the AI portion of the solution, basically?
Oh, so we call it the job and event management in NaaS. So every time you are running a notebook, you are using the NaaS.ai instance in the cloud, you will be able to like send to production. So your notebook will be copied into a production folder. And then we, as the NaaS engine, will check if there is an execution or something to be made. So it's either a job or inside those jobs you have the events. So it's like we think of it as jobs. All the microservices I've told you about at the beginning are considered job. So scheduler will be able to monitor in what we call the NaaS manager. You will enter this NaaS manager, have all the list of the schedulers, but you will also have all your webhooks, all your sharing assets, all your notification system, everything that every low-code formula that NaaS is providing you to run your notebook in production, you can monitor them into the NaaS manager in the job section. And this is where the tracking and monitoring happens. So we do, as an open source platform, we want to encourage people to contribute and to develop the product. And we also encourage people to understand this credit-based system for monitoring. One of the very important thing is we realized that it was hard to understand the cost of a job, a task in AI. How much does it really cost for me to get all those YouTube videos and create a summary and with using NLP every day and using this GPT-3 model? If I run that every day to, let's say, give me some insights on any kind of subject I want to follow, how much does it cost to run a summarization, to run an export of the transcript, then a summarization of this transcript using NLP, and then sending it to me through an email like, hey, this is what I've summarized from the 10 videos that I've watched on YouTube on this particular hashtag. You see what I mean? The whole cost of the task management. So it's really this part of task management for us is really much more about usage management and usage monitoring, and how it's really related to the credit-based system we are trying to put in place, because we believe in the exchange of value at the end of the day. So right now what we have built is a way to debit your account from the credits that we are providing for the compute of the task. But at the end of the day, with all our community of contributors, we want to also have this credit aspect where when the contributors is contributing to the NaaS project with templates, new template that we can use, they could benefit from additional credit in their balance. So the whole task management, again, is something that we thought of as a balance of credit and debit you can follow as a bank account, basically.
Got it. Okay. So over to the other capabilities from NaaS, basically. So there is a lot of importance for features, drivers, and templates in NaaS. So what is the design concept behind that, actually?
Being very, very close to a formula that you can remember. It's really something that can get straight to your mind. Like, hey, I don't have to go in Stack Overflow today. I remember this formula. I know how to schedule my notebook. I need to go to Stack Overflow to make complex operations or figure out some articles, but still, I would like this to be closer to me. I don't have to search for new, open a new tab, search a new stuff. I have 20 tabs open at the end of the day with all these different things I try to implement. So we really wanted to be able to have things closer to us, so it takes us less time to go and take it. So features have been designed this way. How can I schedule my notebook? I don't want to open a new server, install some kind of a cron facility there to push to transform my Python notebook to a Python script to send it to production. The features were designed this way first. Then came the integrations. Oh, nice. Now I can schedule my notebook, but I still have this much of code in my notebook. I have 20 lines to just do this request API to this tool. So how can I just simplify it to one line and get some space in my notebook to really think about how I can build my model, build my functions. So the amount of code that is needed for connection is not so much. So design of the drivers, same aspect, same logic. How can I make it more simple? And the templates are more like, hey, we have so much cool project all around. We have tested so much different notebooks from different people. But when you're looking for an article in like Medium or whatever, they bring you to the notebook. Some, if they do, but still it's like hard to like try fast. So what we wanted is the templates to be really easy to like plug. Yeah, you look the template, you click on open in NaaS, which is a button like open in Collab. We have done the same kind of stuff. You click on it and it runs. So and it runs in a certain way, not in a way that you will question yourself on how the template is built. We have built this framework where every template in the awesome notebook template repository in GitHub, in our repository, is done the same way. You have an input section, a model section, and an output section. So anytime you enter the catalog of templates we're providing, you know what to expect. You know what to expect. You know that all your variables would be on the input section. You know that all your functions would be on your model section, and you will have all those functions that are stacked one after another. Then you have your output section. This is the place where you distribute the data in the different places your audience is located. So if it's a text, you can set a text. If it's a Slack, you can set a Slack. If it's a whatever, you can send whatever. This is the idea of input, model, output. And it's a framework that works for every single project. Wherever you like it or not, it's always the same basic principle. What I have in the entry, what I should transform, and where I should deliver stuff. So we just wanted to make those templates, coming back to your question about the design, we just wanted to make this design system very natural to people. And this is what we wanted to build.
Great. So yeah, out of all the features, this is one of the most important feature which I like actually, the scheduling job. So like there are, as you mentioned, like there are a lot of other uh, benchmarks or other standard tools also available in the space actually. So like when it's ever actually was there any benchmark or was there any comparison between other solutions on this space basically?
Yes and no. We did it really instinctively because we were coming from Excel, remember? So it was like, hey, how should we make this simple formula that we can use? And we didn't look really at the other solution, to be very honest with you. We just wanted to have something that is making sense for us as a non-technical, people first. We became technical, but we have still this, laziness of using Excel with this little formula. It worked fine, and I don't need to think about more than the formula. So yeah, I guess that no benchmark was done, and it's better like this because at the end of the day, it enabled us to not look at YAML file configuration, which is somehow a bit complicated, or third-party scheduling system like Airflow, which could have been a good way of using scheduler and adding it to our notebook system. But as we wanted to be really have the coding experience, the way to have it in really one line of code and not have any UI, not have any like other noise, just a simple little formula where you can schedule, you can put your notebook with the cron task. Simple. We just wanted to have this done in the less numbers of character possible. So this is how we came with the nas.scheduler.add parentheses and your cron task into the variables. This is the idea was to have the minimum numbers of characters to schedule a cron inside the notebook. And the funny thing is, recently we got into we had to present NaaS to Netflix. And because we were inspired by those work from Netflix to integrate it into NaaS, the scheduling system is inherited from Papermill, which is something that Netflix has been working on to schedule the notebook. And the feedback from the team was, oh, this is really elegant. This is nice to see how simple you made this NaaS scheduler formula. We do it with another way, which is the YAML configuration way, which is much more complex. So yeah, no benchmark led us to create something maybe a bit simpler than the rest of the options. So we're happy we didn't do benchmark for that point.
Understood. So yeah, I think yeah. So this point on the asset sharing, like, so what are the difficulties you have faced in this particular feature to actually bring it up?
It's a very good question. So basically, anything is an asset. Anything. A document is an asset. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you provide this asset somewhere else, you can track the usage of these assets. First was the base of the asset sharing feature. So you remember I told you about the credit-based system. Each time you use one of the features, you actually use credits. So credit-based system on assets was the first idea. I can generate a graph, a chart. I can create a PNG chart. I can make it even HTML chart with Plotly, let's say. I can create this. And by using NaaS.asset.add, I would create a shareable version, a shareable link to that asset. And this will be persistent. It will be a URL like a Google Sheet URL, but you will have your graph like full screen and nicely displayed. So the thing is, now that you shared it, you want to know if people clicked on it. And we are like, we use this credit-based system to be like, hey, this asset has been clicked on like 10 times. And this cost 0.00.2 cent, like, but you know that it has debited your whole balance of asset production from the NaaS instance. So it's the challenge in here were really to, how do I make sure that any kind of document that I share, I can track the number of times people have entered into it? Because even in a Google document, you cannot do that. You don't know if people have been there like 10 times or only once or never connected. But with the NaaS asset sharing features, you can.
Great. That's great. And yeah, so my last question actually for today. So what is the next big goal you are aiming towards with NaaS platform?
Good question. So this is the part where we talk about how important we believe this is to build a huge template library, a template catalog. There is a huge need for people inside data science to start from not zero, like to be like, hey, I can get into this template done by Deepak. I know Deepak is doing a phenomenal podcast. He's good in NLP. He has done this thing about NLP where he can like find the bias into the news. And then I want to like use this template because I have this topic at work and I want to like understand the bias and how he did it. And maybe I can reach out to him. I really like, we strongly believe in open source for data science. And the best way is to package it so it can work in 2 seconds. You click, you change your variable and it works. Now you can start thinking of how should I implement this for myself? How can I bundle this with other formulas? How can I bundle this and integrate it into my own AI solution? So our next big goal is to be able to create 1,000 templates. We are having 250 now in the awesome notebook template repository. We want to reach 1,000 templates on a variety of topics that we have identified with the users that came to us all last year. We have identified 500 templates, something like that, that I'm working on to populate the backlog into GitHub. You can figure out on GitHub, Jupyter /NaaS. Jupyter NaaS is our GitHub repository. We have an awesome notebook template repository, and this is where we want to put all the issues of all those templates we have identified to be mission critical for anyone that wants to like jump into data science. And have a focus on decision making. This is important. We are not so much into like computer vision or some stuff like that. It's more about decision making for like having metrics like speak to you about how your organization is doing, how your project is doing. It's about monitoring indicators, and this is what we want to bring to the data science space. Is basically that we want to be this safe place where people can use templates of data science without knowing so much about the field, but get into it very fast, and then use templates, bundle those templates, integrate them into different pipelines. Is up to them, and it's up to their creativity. It's up to the solution that they want to use. But still, we should be able to open the door faster than what we can do today.